It began, as so many royal dramas do, in whispers. At first, they were no more than passing comments over champagne flutes at high society receptions, muttered questions in the drawing rooms of London's elite. But soon the whispers hardened into rumors, and the rumors into something far more dangerous, a plan. Not just any plan, but one so audacious it bordered on treason against blood. The architect, Prince William, heir to the British throne. The targets, his own brother, Prince Harry, and the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. Sources close to the palace claim the seed was planted months ago. The monarchy was reeling from yet another round of headlines about Harry and Meghan, some scandalous, some sympathetic, but all relentless. The institution thrives on control, on image, on narrative, and these two had become a wildfire no amount of protocol could contain. In William's mind, the solution was drastic but simple: remove them not just from the present, but from the very fabric of royal history. The planning began in the shadows. Late-night calls to trusted aides, discreet meetings in private rooms at Kensington Palace, encrypted messages sent through secure channels. Those summoned to participate were hand-picked, veteran courtiers who understood the stakes, media strategists who knew how to rewrite history without appearing to do so, and legal experts versed in the ancient but still potent powers of royal decree. The goal was chilling in its precision. Harry and Meghan would be erased from the monarchy's future, their ceremonial roles stripped away, their children's positions in the line of succession quietly revised. Photographs of key moments, trooping the color appearances, state banquets, royal tours, would be removed from palace displays. Official archives would be reframed, presenting their departure as an inevitable, almost voluntary retreat, rather than the result of a bitter feud. One insider, speaking under the cloak of anonymity, described the operation as surgical. Nothing overt, nothing that would invite open confrontation. Just a steady chipping away of presence, until, years from now, the Sussexes would be little more than a footnote in history books, mentioned briefly, without detail, like distant cousins whose paths had diverged long ago. But the plan was not merely bureaucratic. There was to be a symbolic climax, what some in the palace privately referred to as the Day of Destiny. The event was scheduled under the guise of a prestigious royal charity gala, with an audience of world leaders, foreign dignitaries, and Britain's most influential figures. Midway through the evening, William would unveil a new royal family lineage display, one conspicuously edited to omit Harry, Meghan, and their children entirely. It would be an elegant execution, a quiet but irrevocable statement: they no longer belong to the story of the British crown. In the weeks leading up to the date, preparations were meticulous. Guest lists were revised to exclude anyone who might object. Speeches were rewritten to avoid even indirect references to Harry and Meghan. A new visual timeline of the monarchy was commissioned from a renowned designer, its clean lines and subtle omissions calculated to pass casual inspection but speak volumes to those who knew the truth. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Meghan began to sense that something was wrong. It started with small things: a source cutting off contact, an invitation to a royal-related event quietly rescinded, a journalist she trusted suddenly going silent. Then came the anonymous message. No greeting, no name, just a sentence that made her blood run cold: prepare for erasure. Those close to her say Meghan reacted not with panic, but with a cold, strategic fury. She began gathering her own arsenal, not of lawyers or PR firms, but of truth. Emails, text exchanges, recorded calls, private photographs. Each piece was chosen not just to defend herself, but to expose the inner workings of the palace in ways the public had never seen. Harry, however, was conflicted. Despite the public fallout, despite the years of tension, there was still a part of him that saw William as the brother who had once been his closest ally in a world of scrutiny and ceremony. But when Meghan showed him the evidence she'd compiled, and the quiet, creeping erasure already underway, something inside him hardened. His children's legacy was at stake, and that was a line he could not allow anyone to cross, not even William. As the day of destiny approached, tension within the palace became almost unbearable. Aides avoided eye contact in the corridors. Conversations stopped when certain doors opened. The king, kept largely in the dark to maintain plausible deniability, was said to be focusing on overseas matters, leaving William free to proceed. The night itself glittered on the surface. Cameras flashed as guests arrived in tailored tuxedos and silk gowns. The chandeliers in the grand hall shimmered under the soft glow of hundreds of candles. William moved through the room with the practiced ease of a man born to lead, greeting guests, smiling for photographs, his voice warm but measured. Then, 17 minutes before William was to take the stage, it happened. Every phone in the hall buzzed at once. An untraceable email had been sent to the entire royal press corps, key political figures, and several high-profile celebrities in attendance. The subject line read simply, "If you erase us, the world will know everything." Inside were attachments, audio recordings of William discussing the necessary removal of his brother, drafts of the edited royal lineage with Harry's name struck through, and screenshots of palace aides mocking Meghan in private group chats. The leak was devastating, not just because of its content, but because of its timing. Social media lit up instantly, hashtags like #RoyalCoupand #EraseGate trending globally before William had even stepped behind the podium. Witnesses say he paused when informed of the breach, his jaw tightening almost imperceptibly, but he continued to the stage. Still, the speech he gave was a pale shadow of what had been planned. There was no unveiling of the lineage chart, no symbolic erasure. Instead, he spoke in vague terms about unity and service, his words drowned out in real time by the tidal wave of scandal flooding the internet. Meghan, watching from her California home, reportedly allowed herself the faintest of smiles. Her timing had been perfect. Not only had she stopped the coup, she had ensured that any future attempt would be tainted by the memory of this public failure. The fallout was immediate. Headlines the next morning were merciless, questioning William's judgment, his trustworthiness, and even his suitability for the throne. Palace aides scrambled to issue denials, blaming fabricated materials and malicious actors, but the damage was irreversible. For the first time in modern history, the image of the heir apparent had been cracked, not by scandalous rumors, but by his own recorded words. Harry and Meghan, far from being erased, had been immortalized as the couple who stood against the institution and survived. The day of destiny had turned into a day of defeat for William, his plan undone in the most public, humiliating way possible. Behind closed doors, the monarchy faced a new reality. The war between the brothers was no longer a private feud, it was an open battle for control of the royal narrative. And in this battle, the past was no longer fixed, it was a weapon, and whoever wielded it best would shape the future of the crown. One palace insider put it best, the date of destiny was set, but not for them. It was for him. And history will not forget.